I am Mindy Eisenberg, and I am the founder and director of Yoga Moves MS. I have the lucky fortune to work with people who have MS by providing adaptive therapeutic yoga for anyone who's impacted by MS. And we also provide holistic health and wellness education for them. We've become quite a community of volunteers, students, teachers, and professionals in the community. Well, it was fate, really. I finished yoga teacher training after I had taken yoga as a student for over a decade. After I finished the teacher training, a few people knew that I had grown up with a mother who had primary progressive MS, and they asked me whether I wanted to volunteer at the MS Society and also to present at a prominent neurological institute in Michigan. And pretty much right after I finished the training, I was asked to volunteer at the MS Society and also present to a support group in our area, which has a very large practice. And that support group was filled with people who wanted to continue and have a weekly yoga class. And 18 years later, we are still meeting on Tuesday nights. That's how it blossomed. And from there, people said, you really should add more classes on. And now we have 7 classes in southeastern Michigan. The philosophy that we use is inclusive, and we have a can-do kind of attitude. People come to us and they're not sure they can do adaptive yoga. But we show them that really yoga's for anybody. And the most important principle is that you're adapting the yoga to the person in the room. We're not making somebody do a pose the way it's supposed to look. We're helping the person benefit from the pose in their body. In this way, there's a lot of communication that goes on between the teacher and the student. We encourage questions and feedback. We want the student to help create because yoga is a creative process. And sometimes students come up with ideas that are going to help them and also someone else in the room. So empowerment is a really big part of our philosophy in addition to creativity. And if someone doesn't have an idea of how to make it work for them, then we're there. We're showing them all different kinds of options so that they know, because one of the biggest worries is people are like, am I doing this right? Am I doing the yoga right? Am I meditating right? Am I breathing right? And we are there to assure them that you really can't do it wrong, and you are part of this practice. And perhaps the most important way is for them to realize that they are an integral member of the community. And when I mean community, I mean our small group class, and then I mean our larger community within Michigan and beyond. Since COVID, we've become almost an international community. We've created a lot of exciting materials that started because my students asked for them, which again shows the participatory nature of our community. They asked for materials so that they could do yoga at home. And so our first step was we developed a book that really took, it was a comprehensive project looking at all the different poses and how could we present them in a way so that people would see the dimensions of yoga on the mat, in your seat, and standing, and understand that anybody can do yoga. In fact, the name of the book is Adaptive Yoga Moves Any Body, which was created in memory of my mother who had MS. And I kind of went about this backwards because the students asked for something they could take home so that they'd remember the poses, and we developed this book. But then I realized they also wanted something a little bit more abbreviated, which is how we came up with adaptive yoga cards. And we developed them considering what would a adaptive yoga student want to see. What are the most important points they'd want to know about a pose, the different adaptations to it, some primary principles of alignment. They're color-coded, they're curved at the edges so they don't bend, they're made of a material that's more durable and in a way that can be easily pulled out of a box. So we were thinking about dexterity at the same time. We also made sure that the students were an integral part of this, and so their photos are in the book and the cards. And so we have real people who practice adaptive yoga. And it, again, another great community project that we can all be proud of. In addition to the book and the cards, we also developed videos that go along with sequences in the back of the book. And we've also created an on-demand, a library of recordings from different types of classes and different therapeutics. For instance, maybe one for restless or spastic legs, one for opening up the heart or the chest region, one for maybe some neck discomfort. And so we have a variety of resources depending on how people want to use them. We get feedback from all of our resources. So we've made little edits to the book, but really it was a process all along of really, if you will, dissecting the poses and developing language that would be easily understandable for our students. And we tested it out to see if that languaging was working. We showed them as we were moving along in the project drafts to get their ideas. And my students tell me that they are using them. I've gotten lots of great feedback about how they'll pull a few cards out for the day and practice with them. In addition, when we develop the videos, we've had some students come. We've done a variety of classes where sometimes the teacher's teaching for these videos in the on-demand library and they're teaching solo, but other times a student is along so that the person viewing the video can see a different adaptation and can see that someone with a physical challenge is able to modify and benefit from the yoga pose. So there's many, but I have students who tell me they love the on-demand because they can practice the videos at any point. We have students who use the cards in a daily way, or let's say they decide they're going to practice yoga 3 to 5 times a week. They'll pull out some of the cards so that it doesn't overwhelm them. And they tell me that their balance improves, that they feel stronger since they've been doing a practice at home in addition to a class in person. Or we have students who are from out of state and are practicing online only. They tell us that they feel stronger, more flexible, more balanced from more of a consistent practice. One great example of a student is that I have a student who started years ago, and she practiced for about 3 or 4 years. She has MS, and then she decided she wanted to be a teacher, and she actually started a trend. And she took a teacher training, and then she took our Adaptive Yoga Moves Anybody training. And now she's one of our teachers that assists in classes and teaches her own class or with another co-teacher. And you can literally see and feel the change in her energy and in the way that she takes care of herself, because yoga becomes self-care, and she will tell you how meditation and a yoga practice has become like brushing your teeth. It is part of the daily ritual. As an adaptive yoga instructor for 18 years, I'm still on a mission to get the message out that anybody and everybody can do yoga. People still tend to think that yoga is about perhaps a body dressed in fancy yoga clothing that you see on a magazine cover or on the screen. But yoga can be practiced anywhere, anytime, with anybody, and I'm really out there to help dissipate the fear. So instead of making assumptions, what we'd really like to see is for people to dip their toes in and try it, and they might even be surprised by what they find, that they can do it and be part of a community, a supportive community. They might find that they reap many more benefits than they ever thought they would have.